With this question, I'm going to actually not only state the period amplitude range, I'm also going to draw this. And I'm just going to do it from 0, small and equal then x, small and equal then 2 pi. What I'm going to do, a sine bx minus c plus d, I write down what I know it should be, and now what they've given me, so it's minus 2, the sine of 4x minus pi over 3 plus 5. And my first problem that I see here is that my equation, this equation doesn't really look all like that one. And the big problem lies over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this into b outside the bracket. So I'm going to take out 4 as a common factor. That becomes y equals negative sine. I'm going to take out 4 as a common factor. 4 times x minus, now 4 times something must give me pi over 3. To do that, to know what you're doing is you have to actually divide pi over 3 by 4. Because I'm multiplying by 4, I have to do the opposite inside the bracket. So I'm actually going to change colors here and just show you how I do that. I'm going to say pi over 3, and because I'm multiplying by 4, I'm going to divide by a 4 inside to cancel it out, and that will give me then pi over 12. So that will give me x minus pi over 12 plus 5. So now I can see that a equals negative 2. I can see that b equals 4. I can see c equals pi over 12. And I can see that d stays plus 5. D equals 5. Right, so I identified all the values. If they ask me to draw that, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to start off by saying that my equilibrium, D is equilibrium, and that means this is 5. My amplitude equals the absolute value of A, that's a straight bracket, which equals negative 2. Sorry, not negative 2. So that equals 2. If I add 2 to 5, it will go up to 7. If I subtract 2, it will go down to 3. So that's my values. I now want to have the start of my graph over here. So my graph, where does it start? Here. To find that value there, C is my starting point. So C is start, and that equals pi over 12. Now you can see that I say, because this is negative, this will be C. If this is negative, it will be pi over 2. If it was plus pi over 2, this will be minus pi over 12. But it's not, so this is going to be pi over 12. So that's where my graph starts, because that is how much it's shifted horizontally. Now, I say C starts pi over 12. I'm quickly going to draw my sine graph, and I'm going to say, because A is negative, A negative means it's reflection. Right, so reflection. So sine graph should start here and go up, but now it starts there, it goes down, over there, turn, and come down. So my sine graph needs to be there. I need to know what is my period. So my period equals 2 pi over b. 2 pi over b is 2 pi, and we see b in this case is 4, which means 2 pi is pi over 2. Now, my critical values, I want to know how big is each one of this. Remember, if this is pi over 2 divided by 4 will tell me how big each one of these are. So to do that, I'm just going to say critical values is pi over 2 divided by 4. Divide by 4 is the same as 1 over 4. And that gives us pi over 8. So the criticals is pi over 8. And you can see that we now have a problem, because if this is, not a problem, but if this is pi over 12, and I add pi over 8 every time, I can't add 12s and 8s. So I'll have to get this into lowest common factors, so lowest common denominators. So for 12 and 8, lowest common denominator is 24. So I'm going to change this pi over 12 and say that is 2 pi over 24. And then everything happens from pi over 8. I'm going to say that's the same as times 3 times 3. So that will give us 3 pi over 24. So every 3 pi over 24 something happens. So pi over 12 plus 3 pi is 4 pi over 24, 7 pi over 24, 10 pi over 24, and it's going to go on to 13 pi over 24. So every pi over 24, 3 pi over 24, there's going to be something else. I've drawn my graph. I know what everything is now. I haven't drawn it. I need to go and draw it now. To draw that, I'm going to use a ruler. I'm going to start there. Let's do it all the way down here. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say, I start with pi over 12. So each one of this is pi over 12. If I go to 2 pi, 2 pi equals 12 pi, no it's not, it's 48 pi over 24. 2 pi is 48 pi over 24. So I won't be able to say that is pi over 12. It will be too big. Okay, so I'll have to say pi over 12 is smaller than that. We'll have to go in 2s, I think. Undo. Rubber. We'll have to go and say this is 2 pi over 24. No, let's go in 3s. I'm going to say 3 pi over 24. I'll have 6 pi over 24, 9 pi over 24, etc, etc, etc. Go all the way, and then starting at pi over 12, which was the sine graph, it starts at 5. So we'll say this is 5, this is 3, this is 7. It will start there, and then every 3 pi it will do something else. So, and just carry on doing this, and from there you can draw your graph. Okay, that's how your graph, this is wrong, this will go up and then turn. So this is how your graph will look like. You need to find then the x and the y, or just the x-intercept here, and to find that you'll say that is where y equals 0. So please go and have a look at those type of questions. The reason they didn't ask us to draw this is because, remember, if I have this 4 here, it means one graph is going to repeat itself 4 times. Usually the turning points, there's 4 critical values. Now you're going to have 16 critical values. So it's a bit unfair to ask you to draw that, but you will know how to do it now. Okay, I would like you to go and try some of those questions in exercise 10.7 now.